You're watching Two Button Crew.
The daily show for Nintendo fans.
I'm Scott.
And I'm Simeon.
Simeon, it's a special day. It's a sad day.
It's a sad day.
But I don't think this episode needs to be sad.
I don't think so.
We're going to be remembering Mr. Iwata.
Yes, we are.
We posted briefly about his passing away, but we really want to take the time and just remember him, remember his accomplishments, and everything that he's done for Nintendo and Nintendo fans.
Absolutely. And also, I'd just like to point out that we're also giving a tribute to Andy Griffith, who died just a couple of weeks ago as well. So, shout out to Andy and his family.
I'm sure he was a great person to know who he was.
Yes. Which you didn't know who he was, did you?
No, but no. I knew Iwata very well.
Yes.
We go way back. I've always been watching his videos.
You've been stalking him from afar for many years.
So we're pretty tight.
Yes.
I think a good way to start would be like our best personal memory of him, or like our favorite thing about him. So what makes Iwata so special to me as the CEO of a company is that he always wanted to be connected with the fans. So much so that he named his video series Nintendo Direct. It's him talking to me and to you. And he also just went the extra mile to speak English to us, which might sound kind of silly, but I think that actually means something about him and his commitment to the fans. Like, he could have used a mouthpiece or a translator, or I mean, it's Reggie and Beltran, and they'd make appearances in Nintendo Direct, but even at E3, like when the biggest announcements were about to come up, it would be Mr. Iwata introducing them, speaking English to us, just being that intimately connected that even though it was, it's a hard language to speak, and it's not like he had it perfect, but you could always tell he was trying so hard. Yeah.
I really like that about him. And I think one of the things I admire most about him, you talked about how he had his connection to the fans and how he's dedicated to the fans. I also like how he was dedicated to his work, and not in a bad way.
Oh, yeah.
But dedicated to his work and his company. Like,
totally.
Melee would not have come out on time had he not done the debugging. That was like his last hands-on directly with the game. And he considered himself, he said, other people see me as the president of the company, I'm paraphrasing. And I consider myself a programmer, but in my heart I'm a gamer. And that's what I admire about him. Like,
that's awesome.
He was the the general manager of corporate planning.
Yeah.
At, I think it was HAL Laboratories, but over this project of Melee, completely, overseeing it, and he didn't let that stop him from actually going in and working for like 3 weeks straight.
Yeah.
In and out, debugging the game so that it could come out on time. That wasn't his position as like an overseer, but he was really hands-on and really cared about the product and keeping his promise, which I really admire.
And he's been programming for a long time. He made Balloon Fight, which was like his thing all the way back at the very beginning of the company. Like, he's been with Nintendo for a long time.
For a very long time.
And he's committed to it. He loves what he does, what he did. And he's just so hands-on, like you said, with his work with the fans, and he's just a critical part of all of it.
Absolutely.
So he became president of HAL, then Nintendo, and he was the first president of Nintendo that was not like in the family, that started the business.
Yeah, I think that's really says something about who he is that he came from outside, and they recognized that he was going to take care of the company while he had it. He, like we said, he had worked with HAL Laboratories. He was a developer there from 1983 to 2000. And without him, we wouldn't really have had Kirby. Him and Sakurai worked on Kirby. They worked on Smash Brothers, and they worked on a whole bunch of other projects together. And without him, we they wouldn't be what they are today.
Yeah. And speaking of Sakurai, I always liked it when Sakurai would tell the press, I just found out I'm working on the next Smash Bros. Game because Iwata just announced it from the E3 stage. So I wonder if some of that like goes back to their time working together at HAL.
Oh, I bet.
Maybe Sakurai, gave him some monotonous jobs, and Iwata just thought, I'll get back at him.
Yeah,
someday.
I'll get back at him. I think that's great.
Yeah. Way to spring it on your developers.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing Iwata was really well known for is the Iwata Asks interview series, and that's been a really long running thing. I remember, I think it started like right before the Wii came out. They were he was asking questions about the Wii, and that's another thing is that these interviews were all done with the developers, like the people who were creating the hardware when new consoles were coming out, the people who were producing, programming, overseeing the development of different games and stuff. And I think it was cool that Iwata chose to spotlight those people. And I think it kind of started with him showing those developers and introducing them to fans, giving us that kind of behind-the-scenes process that led to the developers being more and more a part of the E3 the last couple of years. We have been seeing so many more dev diaries, and it shows that Mr. Iwata is wanting to kind of give credit where credit is due and give these people who are usually behind their computer screens for most of the day some spotlight and put them in front of fans. So I think Iwata Asks interviews gave a lot of really cool insight because we got to see like prototypes. They'd just be sitting there on the table and they'd be talking about them. Like I remember the Wii U gamepad, they actually had a cardboard cutout of the gamepad, and because they were using that to kind of see what it would be like to scroll on web pages with it or on Miiverse. So they had like paper that they would like drag through the cardboard cutout and stuff. So it's just such a cool look. I hope that it continues in some form.
I hope so too. I hope that next president of Nintendo takes the same care that Mr. Iwata did.
Yeah.
So yeah, Iwata, he's gone from us now, but we definitely want to thank him and thank his family for what they've done for the company.
Absolutely. I think there's a special way we need to say goodbye on this episode.
Yes, and how's that?
Do you know what I'm? Do you know what I'm thinking directly? The hand motion. Yes, when we sign out. Yes. All right. This has been Two Button Crew. Again, big thanks to Iwata, and we're excited to see where the company goes from here. So we'll be talking about that this week.
Indeed.
And just kind of what Mr. Iwata's death means to the company.
Don't forget to like, to comment, and to subscribe as well.
Thank you for being part of the crew. We'll see you next time.
Signing out.